Yogi clan, what's up, y'all? I finally decided to ditch the truck and ride the scooter to work. So I am enjoying a little breeze this Friday morning. It's only, let's see, 78 at 7:30 in the morning. So one thing I want to talk to you about today is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And that is James 1:27. Pure and undefiled religion before the God and the Father is this, to visit the orphans and the widows in their time of trouble or distress, depending upon which version you're reading. Orphans and orphan care. You know, you see me put up a few videos about that and talk about that a couple times, but we are in summer. It's summertime. And my wife is part of a group, well, I am too, but she is because she's a coordinator for it, called Open Hearts and Homes. Open Hearts and Homes is a hosting agency that flies probably about 60 kids on average who are orphans from Ukraine and Latvia over here to the States every summer and every winter for hosting. Why do they do that? One, to give the kids a break from orphanage life, because let's face it, it's pretty tough, y'all. It's pretty tough being in an orphanage. So they follow these kids over here. That way they get to experience the love of a family, what it's like to be in a family, how a family works, how a family functions. And it's the goal of the family to give them love back and to show them Christ. And what Christ is all about, and faith is all about, and belief is all about. And they come over here on average for a 5-week period. There is an extended program that I think that goes more like 10 weeks that you host these kids. But they come over here usually end of June. They fly back beginning of August. That way they'll be back for when school starts for them. So we have 2 boys right now from Latvia. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about this morning. 2 boys from Latvia. One is 14 years old, one is 8 years old. They both speak their native tongue, Latvian. They live, I believe, with a foster family in Latvia. And the foster family, they're either Ukrainian or they're Russian. I'm not exactly sure, I don't really remember. But because they are not Latvian, they speak Russian a lot in the house. So both of the boys know a little bit of Russian. They know Latvian. The older boy knows English pretty well. Like, he's pretty fluent in English, which is really awesome, because usually when you host a kid, especially Ukrainian, they know like very little English, which is fine for us because we have a bunch of kids that we've adopted from Ukraine in our house and they all speak Russian. So when we host a Ukrainian child, it's not a problem because we got built-in translators. So I don't have to worry about Google Translate. I just go, hey Leo, hey Stella, hey Emerson, tell them this. But the 8-year-old from Latvia, he does not speak English. So it's really awesome that his older brother does, because again, like, we have a built-in translator. But we have these 2 boys and they are great kids. They truly are orphans. Their mother, I don't know if she's deceased, but she's not in the picture at all. Their father is a truck driver who drives basically all over Europe. Like, all over Europe. And they see him about once a year. And I don't think the father has any parental rights. I think they were terminated. And I think if mom is still alive, you know, she, like I said, she has 0 influence in their life. So despite these kids being in a foster family, they still, I don't know, I don't think they're getting what they need. You know what I mean? And it's really it's rough, you know? Because these kids, we're teaching them a lot of things. And it's been a really good experience. They are great kids. But, you know, we've already adopted 11. I'm kind of like full right now. So instead of looking at these kids as adoption, I'm looking at them more like I'm an advocate for them. So bottom line, I'm trying to find these 2 boys a family. So if you are all interested in either hosting or potentially open-minded for adoption, I know 2 really great boys from Latvia who would probably be really good candidates for adoption. But I just wanted to put this video out there to kind of create an awareness of what we're doing and what's going on, and anybody else who wants to host or is potentially adoption minded. You know, we've had a lot of really good experiences adopting kids. You know, there are a lot of families out there who don't, but there are a lot of families out there who do. And you know, we've had good and we've had bad. I'm not gonna lie, there have been a lot of challenges. There have been a lot of things that have been pretty rough, pretty tough, but you know, you weather the storm, you come out the other end, and the kids learn, the kids grow, and it's all good. We have a great group of kids. I love them all to death. And that's my way of, and my wife's way of, giving back. And really our goal from all of this is to give these kids a solid foundation, a platform from which that they can start their life and hopefully have a successful life. And that's the goal. Now, what can you do to help? Do you have to host? No. Do you have to adopt? No. What can you do though? Man, something simple as a prayer. You know, praying for these kids to find a family. Praying for these kids to have a good summer. Or maybe you got some kids and they're outgrowing the clothes. Instead of donating them to Goodwill, donate them to a family who's hosting. That way they can send these kids back to their countries with clothing. With some, you know, gently used clothes. And if the kids don't wear them, they'll spread them around to the other kids in the orphanage. Somebody will wear them. You know, or maybe it's donating money. It costs about $2,800 to host a child. So maybe it's donate $50, donate $100, donate $500. Help get these kids over here. You know, not only is it cost to get these kids over here, but it costs to feed them, costs to take them out to the movies, costs to take them to the park. If you go to like an adventure park or something like that, it costs money to do things with these kids. So any little bit that's donated helps. Now, mind you, I'm not asking you for money. I'm just telling you things you can do to fulfill James 1:27. You can pray for these kids. You can host these kids. You can adopt these kids. You can donate to these kids. You can, when a family goes over to do an adoption, if you know a family who's going out of the country to do an adoption, or maybe, you know, the mom flies across the ocean and the dad stays behind with the family, cook them a meal. Bring them a meal. Offer to come over and help do something to lighten the burden while one or both of the parents are out of town. There are 100 things that you can do to help. You don't have to host. You don't have to adopt. But do whatever you can to support those who are physically doing the work. You know? And that's an awesome thing. And that's a blessing to us who are doing the work that is just huge in our books. I'll tell you a story. When you think of raising money, the average adoption to go international is probably about $20,000 to $25,000. It's a lot of money. That's why we do things like the Orphan Run to help raise money for a nonprofit called Sacred Selections, which has helped us financially adopt these kids in a huge way. But you know, the people who have the money, who you think, oh man, they could really help me with this adoption, they're usually the people who don't donate, unfortunately. And the people who don't have the money are usually the ones who do donate. Now, it's kind of like the story of the widow in the Bible, the widow with the mite, who gives everything that she had. And even though it was just a drop in the bucket, it was everything she had. Well, there's this one family that I know. Husband works 2 jobs, not very high income jobs. So one day she comes up, she goes to shake my hand. And she puts a $20 bill on my hand. She goes, I don't have a lot, but I want to help. Now, when you think of an adoption costing $20,000 to $25,000, how much of a difference is $20 going to make? Answer, not very much. But you know what? That donation sticks in my mind more than any other donation we ever received. And why? Because I know it was $20 that she could have used to buy food for her family, to buy clothes for her. I think they have 3 or 4 kids. To buy clothes for their kids, to put gas in their car, because they lived about 40 minutes from our church. And they were there every Wednesday and every Sunday. They drove the 40 minutes. That $20 for them is, that's a lot. For me at that time, it was a huge blessing. And it, you know, kind of brought me to tears at the time, because I know it was $20 they, A, did not have to give, B, probably did not have to give, but C, felt led in their heart to give it, that it was the right thing to do. And that $20 went straight into the kitty, into the adoption fund, to help bring Elijah and Oscar home and give them a forever family. So what can you do to help? Do something outside your comfort zone. Doesn't have to be to host, but maybe you know someone who does host, or wants to host, or is interested in hosting. Connect them with us and Open Hearts and Homes so we can open that door. It could be as simple as that, just talking. Or going to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, because I have posts out there about Open Hearts and Homes, and sharing that post. Sharing information, creating awareness, praying for a family, supporting it financially, either through your time or through your money. That's how you can help. And that's the message I want to bring to you today. Do something to help your fellow man. Does it have to be with orphans? No. Maybe you want to do something with the homeless. Help feed the homeless. Wintertime comes. Clear out your closet. What old jackets do you have in your closet? Go down to the homeless shelter and start handing out your jackets when winter comes. Help somebody stay warm for the winter. Sorry, I had to get out of that traffic, and the car behind me was coming up hot. You know, it's a tough life being an orphan. It's a tough life being homeless. And a lot of these, especially the kids, they didn't ask to become orphans. They didn't ask for that. But through the actions of their parents, that's what life they're left to deal with. And kids mean a lot to me, and why I'm so passionate about it, why my wife is so passionate about it. We've adopted as many right now as we can. Are we going to adopt in the future? Yeah, we may do it again. But, you know, we need to get some of these kids out of the house first. Our coffee is kind of at the brim, so to speak. At the top anymore, and I feel like we just overflow. But there are still so many kids that I meet through this hosting program who are just beautiful young children. There's a girl who's 15 who has been slept over at our house a couple times through this. She's made really good friends with our daughter Stella. I would love to add her to the family, but I don't know if we can do it right now. So instead of considering that option, I would rather advocate for her at this point in time. She just turned 15, so she has one more year left until she ages out. And it's a rough life when these kids, it's a rough life in the orphanage, but it's even rougher when they age out. So if this is something you're interested in, I encourage you to reach out to me, and I'll put you in contact with my wife, or answer any questions you may have about hosting, about adoption, whether it's domestic or international. I don't claim myself to be an expert in the field, but between my wife and I, we have a lot of experience, and she is very plugged into the adoption community. If you ask a question we don't know the answer, I'm sure we can find the answer. So God bless Yogi Clan. Be safe. Give some love to your fellow man. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. And I'll catch you on the flip side. All right, y'all. Keep the rubber side down. Peace.